Hi everyone, I'm Susan Briggs from CEC, and I'm here to talk to you about chapters 2, 3, and 4. Sorry that I'm not able to be part of the discussion, but I wanted to fulfill my responsibility of telling you how I felt about the first three chapters, finding the bright spots, scripting the critical moves, and pointing to the destination. In a nutshell, what this meant to me was that when you're about to make a great change, it's always a good thing to look where something is happening, where it is already being successful. That gives people hope that a solution or a short-term solution is possible. Such as the example with Jerry Sturman from Vietnam when he went in there under the organization of Save the Children was asked to eradicate starvation. He had no money and little staff, but he looked for what was working. Where were the healthy, bigger children? What were these mothers doing? And he found that indeed there were some bright spots to go after and to look and emulate. And so through that experience, he got the mothers together and he was able to actually accomplish his his focus. So he was trying to focus the mothers riders. There's two aspects to this making change, and that is one, the writer, which is the analytical person who likes to contemplate, and then the elephant, and that's the emotional one. So he appealed to the focus of the mothers so that they could help their children. There wasn't much he had to do with the motivation because every mother wants to help their children be healthier. So he made this an abstract idea practical. On to scripting for critical moves. This chapter talked about something called decision paralysis, and it talked about how if there are more options, even good ones, there can be this natural consequences of freezing up and making people want to retreat to their default plan because it doesn't take as much energy to make decisions. It's pretty much like most of us in our writer responsibility, we act on autopilot. We don't have to make a lot of decisions. And so what there was an example about the chocolate chips, how people had to resist the chocolate chips and how that exhausted them. Lynn may have spoken about that. So we have to remember that change brings new choices and that creates uncertainty, and ambiguity is exhausting. So what looks like resistance when you're going to go any type of change may be actually a lack of clarity. So ambiguity in this chapter is the enemy, and any successful change requires a translation of ambiguous goals to concrete behaviors. And we have many examples through the book, but since we just have 5 minutes, let me just tell you that where you can find them. In the back with the references, they have all the researches there, and you can kind of relate them to each of the chapters. The references for chapters 2, 3, and 4, or actually 1, 2, 3, are 269 through 276. And those are the citations where you can go and actually get the research. More examples that back up each of the principles that I was talking about here. So I want to go just recap some of the things again from chapter 2, scripting the critical moves. Remember, the writer has many strengths. He or she is a thinker and a planner and can plot a course for a better future. They have weaknesses, though. Their tendency is to spin their wheels and contemplate and analyze, and they just spend too much time on the problems rather than the bright spots. So it's very important that we remember we need to direct the writer. Goals also need to be set. There's a mention of SMART goals. We use SMART goals at CEC for ESL. They tend to be better if it's a standard state rather than change. The writer needs to have goals that appeal to both the writer and the elephant. So here's what a clinic did, and here's my final thoughts on this, that you can direct the writer by scripting the moves, and you can motivate the elephant by shrinking the change, appealing to identity, and you can shape the path by building a habit. So in conclusion, I wanted to point out that the third and final chapter that I read was Point to the Destination, and this is a wonderful example of Dr. Esserman, where her goal was focused on the women in a breast clinic. She wanted them to have all their services done in one roof. So she set a destination of having everyone in one building, and I believe her motto was under one roof, and focusing on the woman. So that was the third and final point. So in conclusion, thank you for allowing me to be part of this discussion, Elena. I hope you enjoyed it.